know if you know this. We live in America. America.
Yes.
Which means we have a need for football at all times.
Yes. We don't have to go very long without football.
And I mean at all.
Yeah.
Like, we're not going to miss any time. And I know everybody, like, people are making fun a little bit with the XFL coming back this year that, okay, like, let's watch that after we just had the Super Bowl. But it is actually going to be pretty fun, I think, and it's going to be a unique viewing experience. And it's another thing that if you have a hankering to bet on football, this is America, we love the sport more than anyone else, that you have the opportunity to do so. Starting this week, starting Saturday, first games on deck.
St. Louis Battlehawks, the Seattle Sea Dragons are your favorites, plus 400, plus 450 to win it all. You've got, let's see, we'll get that back up in a little bit. But the Vipers and Renegades play on Saturday. The Guardians and Roughnecks play on Sunday, as do the Battlehawks and Brahmas and the Sea Dragons and the Defenders. Which one of those is yours?
I will be on the final game of week 1. So Sea Dragons at Defenders. I'll be out there in D.C. for Sunday night. All of these games in the XFL this season are going to be broadcast on ESPN, ABC, or FX. So they're all nationally televised games. And I know we talked a little bit about kind of the way that the XFL is. If any of you guys remember in 2020, the viewing experience, it started to gain a lot of popularity. Unfortunately, COVID happened, and we know how that affects so many jobs. That affected the XFL as well. New ownership now with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Danny Garcia, his business partner. They're co-owners and chair people of the league, putting this all together. And a big part of what they want to do, yes, is betting, but it's also access. And so, like, it is pretty incredible. I'm going to be on the sidelines for these games where if a drive stalls, I can basically go up to the head coach and be like, hey, why did that happen? What's going on here? If a field goal kicker misses a kick or makes a kick, I can talk through
that will not make for any awkward exchanges for you, I'm sure.
Fortunately,
I'm almost positive you will have no awkward exchanges.
Oh gosh, it's going to be unique. And even at halftime, there's different things that they want us to incorporate.
That's one of the worst kicks I've ever seen ever. Can you tell
me
what
did you do?
That thing was thing was 19 feet left.
That's when you got to have some tact and you follow up with, when you make one, I'll be here too. Okay, I'm not just here for the bad stuff. I'm here for you, buddy. But it'll be really interesting if a really dynamic play happens, if a trick play happens. We can just go get that immediate reaction, whereas a lot of times when you see a halftime interview and a question that would have made a ton of sense earlier in the game doesn't make sense anymore, but it felt important, but it's not important right now in the immediacy of the game. So kind of cool for certain things like that. Half times, we're going to be in the locker rooms. All these players and coaches are going to have microphones around them, mic'd up the entire time from an officiating standpoint. This is something that I think is going to be really cool and beneficial because in the NFL, how often are we questioning a call and this was terrible and this was so stupid? You're going to hear them talk through everything in real time. And there's also a command center that the XFL and Fox's Dean Blandino is going to be kind of the head of officiating for all of this, making official calls on things that even non-reviewable plays, if it's egregious to our eyes on the screen, he can overturn that as it happens. So some things that'll be pretty interesting and unique, I think.
And you said that there is also a real desire for them to try and work with the NFL in some way, shape, or form as to trying to develop maybe some players who slipped through the cracks when it came to basically the draft process. We say, look, it's a very, very highly, very highly skilled thing to be a player evaluator as it is anyway, but still guys fall through the cracks. We just had a guy that was the last pick of the entire draft, nearly win rookie of the year. So, so you said that they are going to try to develop some of these guys to actually make it to the league.
Yeah, that is very much so a desire to have the developmental league. And a lot of that thought process comes from a guy like The Rock, who his dream was to play in the NFL. And he was always told by various people that, hey, if you just had a little bit more work in this area, if you had but you can only get that work if you're on the field playing, and there wasn't really that opportunity beyond college for him in football. And so that's kind of what they want this to do, is they want it to be a feeder league in a lot of ways. We saw some XFL guys have success in the NFL, like we saw PJ Walker and Taylor Heineke starting games in the NFL that were XFL players, and that's what they want. Every other professional league has it. Baseball, you've got AA, AAA ball, you've got the G League in the NBA, you've got the AHL in the American Hockey League as a feeder to the NHL. You just don't have that in football aside from college, and unless you want to go to the CFL in Canada or something like that. So that's what their goal is. We'll see, if it is able to last, because obviously the XFL in previous iterations has not. But some of the names are going to be cool in this. The head coach of the San Antonio Brahmas is Hines Ward, the head coach here in Las Vegas for the Vipers. Rod Woodson, 17-year NFL career, 11 Pro Bowls, Super Bowl wins. Like these things are going to hopefully draw eyeballs. The Battle Hawks, who are the favorites here at 4-1, are coached by former NFL tight end Anthony Becht, and his quarterback's going to be A.J. McCarron, former Alabama quarterback and kind of journeyman in the NFL, having one more stab at it, you know what I mean? And in talking to a lot of these coaches leading up to the season kicking off this week, they feel like they have a lot of talent that has, as you termed it, gone through the cracks a little bit. And how is this guy not on an NFL roster? Let's get him seen. Let's give him that opportunity. So I'm
torn because I hate the Kraken so much, but the Sea Dragon sounds
cool.
really awesome. Yeah, it sounds great. I kind of like that name a lot. The Renegades, I could do without. Brahmas, I know it's a bull, so we're good there. Vipers, Vegas Vipers, they've got a nice little ring to it. DC Defenders, I'm out on that one. Houston Roughnecks, that one's fine. Orlando Guardians, no good there. So there's I think 4 to 5 good names of teams there. So I got to pick an allegiance, obviously based off nothing more.
DC just keeps on going for
it's just
America.
Just can't do with that. And I'm not going to play for the home team here. I'm not going to be Homer Vegas Vipers. I have no allegiance to them, so I might just be a Seattle Sea Dragon.
Yeah.
As we go into the season here, they are plus 450. By the way, they are the second shot to win it all. The Renegades 5-1, 5.5. On the Brahmas, 6 on the Vipers, 6.5 on the Defenders, and then 7.5 each on the Roughnecks and the Guardians.
I like the pick there with the Sea Dragons because they are in the North Division, and Jim Haslett is the only coach in that division that's actually a coach, former NFL Coach of the Year. A lot of these other guys are former players given their first stab at a head coaching role, so I'd say advantage there. Offensive coordinator June Jones. Another name that people would be familiar with for the Sea Dragons, Ben DiNucci. DiNucci going to be the quarterback for Seattle. Josh Gordon's going to be playing with them too. A couple notable names that are going to be popping up that people would be familiar with. Josh Gordon, Martavis Bryant coming back, trying to get back in the good graces. Derek King, former Miami quarterback. So there are some names and faces I think that people are going to be familiar with for sure.
The Nooch is the quarterback of the Sea Dragons?
DiNucci.
All right, well.
Yes.
And then I can also just scream at the TV whenever he says, Nooch! Every time he makes a good one. Yeah, all right, there it is.
But Wade Phillips, coach of the Roughnecks down there, coaching in Houston. I'm trying to think of, Bob Stoops is the coach of the Renegades, so obviously great experience there, longtime Oklahoma coach. He was the coach of the Renegades in the 2020 iteration as well, so he's coming back to the league. For those of you who are watching for the first time, some built-in fan bases already are going to be St. Louis, who is your favorite. They are a city that is starved for football. They miss having the Rams. They miss having a team, so they actually do get really strong fan contingent. At least they did in 2020, so that's the expectation again. They did this fan fest thing leading up to the season, and it was packed. Whereas Vegas, for example, and I mean, nothing against my hometown, love it so much, they're going to be playing at Cashman Field. I'm not necessarily sure they're going to be getting a lot of people and bodies out there, especially with how much other sports get attention in this city right now. I'm very curious to see what the appetite for it is going to be here.
Steph claiming the Battlehawks over here.
Okay.
Steph's claiming the Battlehawks over here.
DC, I know you don't like the Defenders, but DC, another really good home field advantage, so we think. You might remember in 2020 seeing the beer snake thing that went viral there, went all the way up to the rafters. So I think it's going to be a fun thing. There are some new rules to be aware of as well. You have the ability to go for a 1, 2, or 3-point play after a touchdown. So, a 9-point difference is no longer a 2-score game in the XFL.
Yeah.
You have a double forward pass, so 2 forward passes are legal behind the line of scrimmage. Kickoffs and kick returns are going to look a little bit different. There's an onside kick alternative in the fourth quarter only, but that you can do a 4th and 15 to convert and maintain possession. 3 timeouts per half, that's pretty standard. Head coach is also allowed 1 challenge of absolutely anything. So we talk about things that, hey, that's not reviewable. You have 1 challenge, do with it what you will. You can use it on anything. So that's something that the NFL actually is very curious to see how it goes in the XFL, to see if that's something that they might want to incorporate in the future.
Go to VSiN.com/subscribe to become a VSiN Pro subscriber today.